Okay, today we are going to talk about Anissa Weier and Morgan Geyser. Trigger warning, graphic crime scenes, graphic descriptions, talk of child homicide, and psychiatric care. On May 31st, 2014, in Waukesha, Wisconsin, United States, two girls, 12, Anissa Weier and Morgan Geyser, lured their friend Payton Leutner into a forest and stabbed her 19 times in an attempt to appease the fictional character Slender Man. Leutner crawled to a road where she was found and recovered after 6 days in the hospital. Weier and Geyser were found not guilty by mental disease or defect and committed to mental health institutions for sentences of 25 years to life and 40 years to life, respectively. After 7 years, Weier was granted early release and will be under supervision until age 37. It's a long time. Slender Man is a fictional entity created on the Something Awful online forums for a 2009 Photoshop paranormal image contest. The Slender Man myths were later expanded by other people who created fan fiction and artistic depictions of the entity. Slender Man is a tall, thin character with a featureless white face and head. He is depicted as wearing a black suit and is sometimes shown with tentacles growing out of his back. According to the Slender Man myths, the entity can cause amnesia, bouts of coughing, and paranoid behavior in individuals. He is often depicted hiding in forests. The stabbing took place in Davids Park, a wooded area near Waukesha, Wisconsin, during a game of hide-and-seek on May 31st, 2014. Perpetrators Anissa Weier and Morgan Geyser pinned down Payton Isabella Leutner, also known as Bella, a nickname used at the time of the crime, and stabbed her 19 times in the arms, legs, and torso with a 5-inch long blade. 2 wounds were to major organs. One missed a major artery of her heart by less than a millimeter, and another went through her diaphragm, cutting into her liver and stomach. Weier and Geyser told Bella to lie down while they would find help, but they did not get any upon leaving. Afterwards, Bella dragged herself to a nearby road where she was found by a cyclist. The cyclist called 911 when he saw her. Around 5 hours later, Weier and Geyser were apprehended near Interstate 94 at Steinhoffel's furniture store after walking 4 to 9 miles. The knife used in the stabbing was in a bag they carried, and their goal was to meet Slender Man at his mansion, called Slender Mansion, in the Nicolet National Forest, roughly a 200-mile hike from their location. During their interviews, Geyser was described as feeling no empathy, while Weier was described as feeling guilty for the stabbing the victim, but both felt the attack was needed to appease Slender Man. Bella left the hospital 7 days after the attack. She returned to school in September. She returned to school in September of 2014. I think that's pretty impressive. Like, I don't know if I would have gotten back to school that fast. Like, you know, and 7 days. She left the hospital after 7 days after being stabbed 19 times, some of which could have been fatal and were very close to being fatal. Like, that's a strong kid right there. At least that's my opinion. That is a strong kid. I don't know that I could have done that. I would have been like, no. I'm just saying, I think that's just super impressive for especially someone who's only, 12 years old. While growing up, Geyser experienced many hallucinations such as ghosts, colors, melting down walls, and imaginary friends, one named Maggie and another named Sev. One hallucination that occurred often was a man Geyser named It, whose body was the color of smoke, and ink that stood behind her in mirrors or shifted around corners, similar to that of Slender Man. To me, right away when I heard about this case, it sounded to me like the onset of schizophrenia. And I mean actual schizophrenia. There's a difference between schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorder. But this sounded just like the absolute makings of a sadly schizophrenic child. And I think that is like really important to keep in mind, because in the case of most schizophrenic killings, there's a very real possibility that if her parents had just acknowledged that something wasn't quite right with her, that she could have gotten the help that she really needed. Like she needed help that I think her family was just convinced it would go away and didn't get her the help that she needed. After the arrest, Geyser was moved to... after the arrest, Geyser's mother, Angie, stated that she became fluidly psychotic. Correctional officers saw Geyser talking to herself, often pretending to be a cat, and keeping ants as pets. I mean, you're in... I don't know. I feel like that's just a child thing to do. I don't know if maybe they were thinking because of her age it wasn't normal, but I feel like children would keep ants as pets. She saw unicorns as well as had continual conversations with Slender Man and other fictional characters such as Severus Snape. In the fall of 2014, Geyser was moved to the Winnebago Mental Health Institute to determine if she would be competent enough to stand trial. They diagnosed Geyser on October 22nd, 2014 with early onset childhood schizophrenia. However, instead of treatment and medication, they focused on explaining the law to Geyser to prepare her for trial. Nearly half a year later, Geyser was found competent enough to stand trial. I can't speak, sorry. Geyser's schizophrenia. Where did my brush just go? Geyser's schizophrenia was continually left untreated for 19 months. That is sad to me, especially considering she was a child. And apparently nobody said, maybe we should treat this. It's appalling to me, especially with children. It's just disgusting to me. I'm sorry. 19 months, leading her to remain in a state of psychosis or out of touch with reality. In December, she was sent back to Winnebago and given antipsychotics, which later allowed Geyser to feel remorse after clearing her mind. On March 23rd, 2016, Geyser was sent back to jail with the medication, where she rapidly deteriorated. However, after a suicide attempt, Geyser was transferred back to Winnebago. The fact that it took attempting suicide for her to be sent to the psychiatric hospital where she should have been from the beginning, because if you've seen the interviews of this child, she was not right in the head, and it was very evident to me, and I don't know why she was sent to jail at all. She should have been sent. I mean, I get why she was sent to jail. She tried to kill somebody. But more so than that, she should have absolutely been sent to a psychiatric hospital and left there. Like, the way she talked in her interviews with police, it was very evident that Morgan personally truly believed that if she did not sacrifice her friend, Slender Man was going to come and get her and kill her. To me, that psychiatric hold is very evident, and police are supposed to be trained to recognize that off the bat, and they didn't, or they just didn't care. Ended up not using this. Oops. Following the investigation, Geyser was charged with attempted first-degree homicide, a Class A felony, and Weier was charged with attempted second-degree homicide, a Class B felony. Due to the nature of the offenses, both Weier and Geyser were waived out of juvenile court to be tried as adults. In 2017, Weier pled guilty to being a party to attempted second-degree homicide. A jury then found her not guilty by mental disease or defect. Geyser accepted a plea offer under which she would not go to trial and would be evaluated by psychiatrists to determine how long she should be placed in a mental hospital. I don't think there was as much wrong with Anissa as there was with Morgan. I think Anissa just wanted to be liked and accepted, and that was ultimately how she got trapped in this. But I don't think there was anything wrong with her mentally. I don't feel like she was anywhere near as bad off as Morgan was. Essentially, Anissa got away with murder, in a way. Because she was able to pull that psychiatric shit out her ass and be like, oh yeah, I'm just like Morgan, and I just need some mental help. But I feel like Anissa was nowhere near as bad off as Morgan was. And so there's a part of you that some of it thinks like her parents were like, just tell them you were crazy, act crazy, tell them you were crazy. It worked for Morgan, it'll work for you. I don't know. Anissa to me seems like she had a much better head on her shoulders than Morgan did. That's my opinion. So don't come for me, that's my opinion. But yeah. A jury found her not guilty by mental disease or defect. Geyser accepted a plea offer. Under which she would not go to jail. Or she would not go to trial and would be evaluated by psychiatrists to determine how long she should be placed in a mental hospital. She later pleaded guilty, but was found not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect, and was diagnosed with schizophrenia, from which her father also suffers. Schizophrenia is pretty much one of the only illnesses that is proven to be genetic. And it is really important to note that. Schizophrenia generally does not just appear in one person by itself. It has to come from some kind of genetic line. And a lot of people don't realize that, and I think that's why it goes undiagnosed a lot of the time. It is a genetic disorder. It does not just exist. It doesn't just pop up. There's somebody in the family has it somewhere. So there's that. Morgan was at a very high risk for it from the very beginning of her life. I don't know why that... Okay. Weier was sentenced to 25 years to life, an indeterminate sentence involving at least 3 years locked confinement and involuntary treatment in a state psychiatric institute, followed by communal supervision until age 37. Geyser was given the maximum sentence, 40 years to life, and indeterminate sentence involving at least 3 years locked confinement, in addition to involuntary treatment at a state psychiatric institute, until complete resolution of symptoms or age 53, whichever may happen first, followed by continued communal supervision, periodic reevaluations and or reinstitution, and further treatment as needed, as required by the sentence imposed. While Geyser will periodically have the opportunity to petition for her release from a mental health facility in the future, she will remain under institutional care for the duration of the sentence. During her trial, Geyser had been committed to the Winnebago Mental Health Institute and was the youngest patient there. At a court hearing on March 10th, 2021, Weier, who was by then 19, submitted a letter to the court stating that she was sorry and deeply regretful for the agony, pain, and fear I have caused, not just to Bella, but to my community as well. Weier stated that I hate my actions from May 31st, 2014, but through countless hours of therapy, I no longer hate myself for them. On July 1st, 2021, Waukesha County Judge Michael Boren ordered Weier released from the Winnebago Mental Health Institution, gave state officials 60 days to drop a conditional release plan, and required that Weier be assigned State Department of Health Services case managers to track her progress until she is 37 years old, the length of her commitment. On September 13th, 2021, Weier was released with multiple stipulations to include 24-hour GPS monitoring, requiring her to not leave Waukesha County without permission. Weier will also have her internet usage monitored and will not be allowed to use any forms of social media. Weier will also be required to take medication and will be personally escorted to regular counseling sessions by a caseworker. She will also be required to live with her father during her probation. In 2020, an appeals court rejected Geyser's petition to be retried as a juvenile. Her attorney, Matthew Penix, argued that she should have been charged with attempted second-degree intentional homicide rather than first-degree, and argued that Geyser gave statements to investigators before being read her Miranda rights. He has petitioned the Supreme Court of Wisconsin to review the ruling. In early 2021, the Wisconsin Supreme Court declined to hear the appeal. In the aftermath of the stabbing, the creepypasta wiki was blocked throughout the Waukesha School District. On the Tuesday following the stabbing, Slender Man creator Eric Knudsen said, "I am deeply saddened by the tragedy in Wisconsin, and my heart goes out to the families of those affected by this terrible act." Slosh Train, the administrator of the creepypasta wiki, said that the stabbing was an isolated incident that did not accurately represent the creepypasta community. He also stated that the creepypasta wiki was a literary website that he did not condone murder of satanic rituals. Sorry, that he did not condone murder or satanic rituals. And members of the creepypasta community held a 24-hour live stream on YouTube June 13th to 14th, 2014 to raise money for the stabbing victim. In September 2021, in the wake of Weier's release, it was revealed that Bella had moved out of Waukesha County and was attending an undisclosed college as a sophomore student. And that is the sad, sad story of the Slender Man stabbing and the story of Anissa Weier, and Morgan Geyser, as well as Bella Leutner, who of course is the most important person in this whole story. As always, please don't do anything I wouldn't do. Be cautiously kind to others, and bye guys.